Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Now, I want to say thank you to all our new subscribers and the usual suspects that watch our content regularly. Those that do follow us whenever we have live editions and those that do watch them much later. I do not take your time for granted. Today, we'll be speaking matters UEFA Champions League. As we all know, it's just a matter of a few weeks or if not days before Arsenal entertain Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. We'll be discussing why Arsenal have every reason to be worried about facing Real Madrid. It's no secret in the footballing world, at least there is a general consensus that Arsenal going into that fixture will be the underdogs when they face off with the 15-time record UEFA Champions League winners in the whites, the Los Blancos of Real Madrid. So, for starters, it's the pedigree that matters the most in this case. I do not think there's any team better than Real Madrid as far as playing in the UEFA Champions League is concerned. You're talking about a team that has won it 15 times. The second best team is AC Milan, who have won it 7 times. So you can see there's a disparity of 8 titles between the most successful team in Real Madrid and a second placed AC Milan, who they themselves last won it in 2007 when they were beating up against Liverpool in that final by 2-1. Carlo Ancelotti was the manager on the AC Milan side at that time, and I think it was Rafa Benitez Maudes on the Liverpool side for that touchline. Of course, he had guided Rafa Benitez at the time had guided Liverpool to the 2005, triumph of the same competition, beating the same side in AC Milan on penalties that proceeded a 3-3 draw in normal time. But so it's the pedigree that matters the most. Real Madrid, 15 titles to their name. 2016, 2017, 2018. They won the competition 3 consecutive times. That was under the charges of Zinedine Zidane, their former player, who was on the turf when Arsenal beat up against Real Madrid in 2006 at the Santiago Bernabeu, Thierry Henry scoring that goal. So, while the two sides have only met twice in this competition, and that was back in 2006 at the round of 16, and Arsenal came out of top, it does not give them much leverage over this Real Madrid side. We're talking about a side that after those 3 consecutive, trophies, missed winning it in 2019 when Liverpool were lifting it, in 2020 when Bayern Munich were lifting it, in 2021 when Chelsea were lifting it, and then returned in 2022 to win it when they were beating up against Liverpool. And then in 2023, of course, they lost it, Man City winning it, and came back in 2024 to win it. So you can clearly see that there's only been a space of 3 years as the most between 2016 and to date when they've missed winning it. So clearly the pedigree, their knack of knowing how to play in this competition puts them right there for starters. So that's why Arsenal will be worried, much worried about facing this Real Madrid side. So you're talking about a team that knows how to win this competition, that even when they're having a bad season, somehow in the UEFA Champions League, things tend to click for them. They tend to click for the better, and they get the job done. We've seen it time and time again. So, in addition to their pedigree, they have arguably the most experienced manager when it comes to playing in these such cup competitions, when it comes to playing in the UEFA Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti. He's a man that is not won too many league titles, but when it comes to winning the UEFA Champions League, he has 4 to his name as a manager. Like I said, he was in charge of AC Milan when they won it back in 2007. And then he guided this same Real Madrid side to their La Decima. That's the 10th UEFA Champions League title in 2014 as they beat up against their city rivals in Atletico Madrid by 4-1 after extra time. For those of you that do recall, I think it was Diego Godin who scored that goal around the 33rd minute or 38th, anywhere between that. I stand to be corrected, giving Atletico Madrid the lead. Thibaut Courtois, who is in the Real Madrid goal, was on the side of Atletico Madrid. Remember at the time, I think he was on loan to Atletico Madrid from Chelsea. So, then Atletico Madrid, with all their defensive prowess, hold it out against that, Real Madrid side. A Real Madrid side that had the likes of Angel Di Maria, that had the likes of Marcelo, Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, Isiko Alcaron, and all those kinds of players. So they hold Real Madrid out until the 93rd minute, when Sergio Ramos rises to a corner and heads home to level the scoring. They go into extra time, and then Real Madrid just run away with it. Gareth Bale scoring a good header. I think it was a deflected shot. Thibaut Courtois tried to save a shot from Angel Di Maria, and then that ball rises in the air. A sort of a lack of quick response from the Atletico Madrid defenders had them fall to the header of Gareth Bale, and then Marcelo scores, and then Atletico Madrid conceded a penalty, which was then converted by Cristiano Ronaldo. So they do have a manager on their side that has guided them before twice to the triumph of this competition. So after 2014, he returned to guide them to the championship in 2022 and in 2024. Of course, in 2022, they were beating up against Liverpool, and then in 2024 they were beating up against Borussia Dortmund by 2-0 in that final. So they have their pedigree, they have the experienced manager whose experience cannot be anywhere near the same comparison for that of Mikel Arteta, who is guiding Arsenal into the UEFA Champions League for only his second season. So clearly, that also gives them the advantage and the edge, and gives them gives us the more reason as to why Arsenal should be scared of this Real Madrid side. So beyond the manager, it goes then to the overall experience of the players. Like I said, some of these players have won this competition before. We're talking about the experience of Luka Modric. We're talking about the experience of the goalkeeper in Thibaut Courtois. You're talking about Dani Carvajal. These are players that have been mainstays in all these teams that have won this UEFA Champions League trophy, at least 2022, 2024. And for some of them, dating to as far back as 2018. You get. So you're talking about all these players. Then Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, 2022, all these players were around. So that's the core of a team who have the experience of playing in this competition, who have the experience of winning this competition under all circumstances. So clearly, you cannot really just brush them away, and so their experience does really, really, really matter. There's another player that has been at Real Madrid for as long as I can remember, and his experience again is very crucial, and that's Lucas Vazquez. In recent times, he's been called upon to captain this same side. Lucas Vazquez has been a mainstay in this Real Madrid side. Rarely do you watch him in a season and say, this is his best season, he scored so many goals and maybe provided any assists, but he has that knack of stepping up in crucial moments. So he's one of those players. Rodrigo, having joined, I think, Real Madrid in 2019 from Santos, was in this side as they won the competition in 2022. So that experience, matters. And then they won it again in 2024, like we've said. So the experience of these several players will really, really matter when they step up to face up against Arsenal in the quarterfinals of the competition this season. So there's that. And then, thirdly, or for the fourth reason, because we've looked at the Madrid's pedigree, the experience of the manager, and then the experience of the players. Now, the attacking prowess of Real Madrid as a team. We're talking about the front three: Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, and Rodrigo Goes. Now, Real Madrid have scored 28 goals in the competition. So far this season, I think the only team that has scored more goals than Real Madrid is Barcelona, who have scored 32 goals across the competition. Of course, Real Madrid, I think Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund have all scored a similar number of goals. That's 28. But it goes without saying that Real Madrid have played two more games in this competition as compared to Arsenal because of that playoff before the round of 16, in which Real Madrid played Man City. So Arsenal, who have scored 25, are not far off in comparison. But the point here is that front three has scored 19 of the 28 goals that Real Madrid have managed in the competition. Excuse me. Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe have scored 7 goals apiece, as well as Rodrigo Goes scoring 5 of those goals. So that front three of that attacking front of Real Madrid is quite very lethal, and Arsenal will be wary of it. While Arsenal pride themselves of their defensive prowess, I think it is something that will concern them, especially at this stage when you're not sure who will be playing at your left back. We all know that Riccardo Carafiori has returned from Italian duty with a knee injury. We do not know if at that time Julian Timber will be fit. We do not know. We can only hope that all those players are fit. Like that Miles Lewis Kelly is at the top of his game, or that Ben White has stepped up, and all that kind of thing. But even then, facing a front three of Vinicius Jr., who by the way had a very horrible, display with the Brazil international team during the course of the international break. One in which they lost to Argentina by 4-1. Very poor display. Putting that aside, I think any defense, no matter how good, would be worried facing Rodrigo Goes, facing Kylian Mbappe, facing Vinicius Jr. We are talking about these are all dynamic players that can play on either wing, that they can play in that center forward role. So clearly, it's something that will worry Arteta and his coaching staff in how to tame this front three. Now, on top of those front three, add on the prowesses or the skill set of Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham is another player that cannot be written off. I mean, he can hurt you on any time. He can score anytime. He's an industrious player. He does play that box-to-box ball very well, although he plays predominantly as a 10. But, I mean, he's really that good a player that even Arsenal, when they pull out the Real Madrid squad sheet on players who they think will hurt them, I think Jude Bellingham is one of those that they will be adding onto the other front three. So, Kylian Mbappe, I think, has had more attempts on goal, 25, more than any other player in the competition. I think the second best player with attacking or more attempts on goal has been Harry Kane with 22 attempts on goal. So, anyway, if that all matters. Defensive-wise, Real Madrid do not do really well, but they do fight for that ball because they made more tackles in the midfield or across the games more than any other team, and I think they've made as many as 216 tackles in comparison to Arsenal's 105. Of course, like I keep saying, 2 more games they have played in comparison to Arsenal, but that puts Real Madrid in first, while Arsenal's 105 tackles puts them at what, 34th across the competition. So, anyways, there is that. So we've looked that attacking force of Real Madrid is a force to be reckoned with, unless Arsenal get the advantage of having Real Madrid players banned. Why? Because 4 Real Madrid players are being investigated for professional misconduct for their celebrations during the game against Atletico Madrid. The players in question are Dani Ceballos, Antonio Rudiger, Kylian Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr. We do know that a player has been sanctioned before for improper conduct in the form of celebrations, and that was Jude Bellingham, I think at the Euros of 2024. He was fined, I think, somewhere about 30,000 euros, and then and then he was given a 1-match suspension, but it was a suspended match suspension, meaning he did not get to serve the actual suspension because it was a suspended sentence, but he had to pay the fine for misconduct. So UEFA are investigating similar incidences. Now, is there a possibility that the result will be that UEFA, bans those players maybe for a game or two? I'm not really convinced. Not that they cannot, but given the circumstance and the way we all know Real Madrid has been attacking officials in the press in terms of criticizing them and all that kind of thing, you do wonder how UEFA does slice this one. But those 4 players are being investigated for those, misconduct. I think in one of those clips, we did watch Kylian Mbappe touch his cordials. Now, the incident in itself appears ugly, especially bearing in mind that kids under the age of 18 or 21 or 16, depending on the regulations of different countries, are watching on TV. So that particular incident of Kylian Mbappe, touching his cordials as he makes his celebrations doesn't really look good. So there is that. Those 4 players are being investigated by UEFA on that front. Now, the other reason as to why I do think that Arsenal will be really worried about facing Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League at these quarterfinals is Real Madrid's luck. I mean, I do not know. It's a combination, of course, of their hard work, their experience, and everything else. But their luck is something to be reckoned with. And as far as luck goes in the UEFA Champions League, I do not think Arsenal can be in the same sentence. Because when you look back in 2006 when they reached the finals, playing Barcelona in Paris, it was due to their unluckiness that they conceded that red card. On another day, it wouldn't have been given. And maybe they would have returned 11 players on the pitch. There's a theory or a school of thought that says that even Samuel Eto'o, who was fouled by Jens Lehmann, leading to that red card, was in an offside position. So clearly, if that isn't misfortune, I do not know what to call it. There's that. But Real Madrid's luck, on the other hand, is something to be reckoned with. I keep referring to that 2014 final because I, for one, had thought I'd given up. I'd congratulated Diego Simeone on winning the UEFA Champions League. Because for all the success he had attained at Atletico Madrid, I thought that was going to be the climax in that period, winning the UEFA Champions League. But Sergio Ramos, in the 93rd minute, conjures up a brilliant header that turns out to be the equalizer that sends the game into extra time. And then Madrid go on to win it comfortably. You can imagine, with barely 90 seconds on the clock, and then you consider an equalizer. If that isn't luck for Real Madrid, I do not know what it is. Then, they do play in the, I think, the 2018 final again versus Liverpool. Mo Salah gets injured and is off in the 31st minute or thereabout, and is withdrawn and replaced by an Adam Lallana. Now, we all know that even at the peak of his game, Adam Lallana, pound for pound, is no comparison with Mo Salah in terms of threat. If you were to ask a defender, who would you rather face? I think any defender would choose facing Adam Lallana rather than Mo Salah. So, that luck that they get one of Liverpool's key players pulled out. While at the time we all did argue that it seemed intentional that Sergio Ramos was intent on, causing injury to Mohamed Salah to have him out of the game. I mean, you cannot discredit luck in the moment or in the events leading to that game. And then eventually Real Madrid win that game, go on to win that game. You get it? So luck has always been that kind of thing that follows them. And then again, back in 2016, it's a 1-1 draw because that final, again, they were facing off with Atletico Madrid. It's a 1-1 draw at full time or after extra time. and then they go into penalties, which they win 5-3. Now, we all know that in penalties, there are two things that matter the most: having very good penalty takers and having a very good goalkeeper. One, you count on your very good penalty takers to score to convert their spot kicks, and then you count on your very deficient goalkeeper to save you a couple of shots on the opposing side for you to stay in the game or to go ahead and win the competition or a tie. But the thing that I think weighs more carries that we'll give it credit to when it comes to spot kicks is luck, because as good as your penalty kick takers can be, they can have a bad day, or you can have a very good goalkeeper on the other side who saves whichever penalty that they may take. So again, that luck that wins them the 2016 title, again, is something that we cannot, underlook. So clearly, it's something that you look back on and say, Real Madrid really show up with their goals when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. We've seen those finals when they've not really played good, and yet somehow they come out on top as winners. We've seen it before. So clearly, I think that tells you those are my reasons as to why I do think that Arsenal will be very worried, very concerned in facing this Real Madrid side in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. I think the first leg is on the 8th or 9th at the Emirates Stadium, with the reverse fixture scheduled for the 15th of April. So, but prior to that, both sides will have their respective engagements domestically. I do know for a fact that Arsenal will have to play Fulham. That's on 1st April, a Tuesday. Then they will have to play Everton on the weekend that follows after. That game will be away at Goodison Park. Very difficult game, considering they'll be then returning home to entertain Real Madrid. So clearly, that's what I think. And then maybe lastly, what I cannot fail to point out is this psychological mind of the game, the psychology of the game. One, when you're facing a team that has all those advantages, that has the pedigree, that has the experience, that has the goal scoring prowess, that has the very good players, that has an experienced manager, that has won the competition more than anybody else, psychologically there's a way it plays in your mind that we are underdogs and we're going to be second best in this particular fixture. So I think it will be very crucial on how Mikel Arteta motivates his side or prepares them mentally to face this Real Madrid side. But the psychological state of mind of the players will be something very pivotal. And I do think that when it comes to being psychologically prepared for UEFA Champions League game, I do not think any team comes better than Real Madrid. Like I said, even when they're having a very bad season domestically, somehow things happen for them. Somehow they switch on a different face, they switch on a different gear when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. So do let me know what your thoughts are on those views, on whether you think I'm underscoring Arsenal, or you think I'm overhyping in any way Real Madrid by giving those reasons. Just let me know what your mind has to say about this particular fixture, what your views are, what your opinion is, down in the comment section. Let's engage. Previously, we've discussed reasons why I do think that Real Madrid should be worried about facing Arsenal. That video is on the channel. I do make my submissions, some of which some of you obviously have disagreed with, but I mean, that's the nature of this debate, that I share my views and you either agree or you disagree and give me your alternative views. So that video is also up on the channel. Do take time to watch it. I've also given out my combined best 11 for the two sides. Check it out under the shorts section on the channel and watch that, my combined 11 for this particular fixture. But it looks more about the availability of certain players, given that we do know that the likes of Eder Militao have been almost injured throughout the course of the season for the Real Madrid side. At the time of making that combined 11, Dani Carvajal was still out on injury, but I do understand he's resumed training. Bukayo Saka is mentioned in that video. He's returned to full training. Arsenal did share some pics of him, and we did consider him in that 11 and that kind of thing. So do let me know what your thoughts are. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Do not forget to like, comment, and share. And I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and have a wonderful rest of your time. Bye bye.